All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode. This is today's episode. I have a guest, a special guest. This is Harry. Harry is, as I've met him, Harry is a powerfully emotionally intelligent person. He's very in tune with like his spiritual side, with I would say the nervous system, the emotional state, and kind of your physiology. You're very tuned into your own physiology. And from what I gather, you lead other people. And I would not consider this an easy thing, but you lead other people in discovering their own physiology through the work that you do with your nonprofit. And I think that's amazing because you live and breathe the work yourself. So you live the work, you do it yourself, and then you walk others through simultaneously. Like that's leadership. So this is Harry. Harry, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Harry Bui. I am a native of Los Angeles, and I've been in this work of wellness. I've been yoga instructor for 9 years. I've been doing sound healing for 7 years, and I've been producing events since I was 18, so about almost 16 years now. And lately, this last 3 years, I've been in the nonprofit sector. I've been an executive director of a nonprofit called Clay DD. They're known for providing workshops centered around mindfulness, meditation, and art education. We focus on clay play, yeah. And it's been just really cool that I've been able to transition all these things I've been doing in my life into this nonprofit work. And we've been really providing our services to the youth of LA, focusing primarily on youth with neurodivergent needs, foster youth, and youth that are in the lower income communities. Now, in this past year, we are now proud to say that we are all over LA. Not only just youths, but also adults and parents of Los Angeles. Um, you know, who I am in my community is I'm pretty much a leader of mental health. And I get to represent that and be a part of that conversation and also encourage more events and offerings to everyone to practice mental health, to practice healing, to practice connecting through our events, through our workshops, through even just by hearing about it and sharing about it.
So that's right in tune with. So for anyone listening in, today's episode is going to be a more expanded conversation around my podcast being about legendary living. This is going to be the power that you unlock through your own emotional intelligence. And I've invited Harry on to here. He's going to share his experience, the work that he does, the difference that it makes, and what I see, kind of the lens that I speak through is, Harry, I see that you've unlocked all of this through mastering your own emotional state, like becoming so in tune with your deeper energies. And so that's why I'm really glad to have you on here. I don't meet a lot of people, especially men. I don't want to say it like I have any kind of thought towards genders or anything, but I don't meet a lot of guys that have that kind of emotional acuteness. And I love that you're making a difference in the Los Angeles area. I'm a San Diego native, so I'm just like 2 hours south. And to hear, like, I've been to LA, and I think it's really cool that people in LA have that experience because I could easily see it being life changing. And I mean, like, it's if I was, when I was younger, if someone had told me like, "Hey, do you want to go take a clay making class?" Like, I probably, just me who I was as a kid, I probably wouldn't have been like, "Oh yeah, let's go." But when I have done it, because I did do it when around like when 16 years old, I've done similar, not your work specifically, but I've done similar, and I had so much fun, and it really like opened my mind to art, like art in three-dimensional form, like playing with clay, because we had to use clay. That said, I wanted to ask, why the clay play? Like, can you walk me through, of all the things you could have chosen to make a difference, what had you choose this specific path?
Yeah. So our founders decided it could have been any kind of art modality, and they chose clay because it's super easy. Uh, it gives people full reign to create anything that they want. So our classes originally was unstructured, pretty much like here's some clay, you make whatever you want to make. So it's meant to
Okay.
be super like relaxed, super flexible. So then allow people to be unlocked in how they kind of connect to their creativity. Because the offering that we provide is like it's not meant to be serious. It helps you to be disengaged from being focused on anything, and everything we focus on the process, not the end result.
Hmm.
Which is why with clay, you make whatever you want to make, and sometimes it doesn't end up being what you make at the end of it all. But it doesn't matter; it's the process, and that's why we do what we do with clay, and and that's why we've been doing it. And it's really great. It creates a really good balance to whichever setting that we're in, especially in the school setting. School setting, there's a certain kind of mentality, right? But with our clay workshop, it kind of allows them to relax, right? It allows them to kind of
Yeah.
disengage and relax the mind. And it actually allows for more engagement, right? The teachers have mentioned like there's more attendance, right? They're able to be a lot more focused and participate more in class, Knowing that, they're also able to emotionally regulate themselves and with each other. So we got to experience that in our work in this past couple of years. And so that's one of the reasons why we do clay play, you know. And really, because one of our founders has neurodivergent qualities, she, she she experienced a sense of relief, a sense of connection to herself through playing with clay, and she wanted to provide that and share that with others. And as a person who got into play with the clay and been hosting workshops, I understand how healing clay is for myself as well. You know, the way it feels against my hands, the way I am now disengaged from my mind but now focused with this medium that's on my hand. So experiencing that for myself and others experiencing that for themselves, right? Especially the adults are a lot more vocal about what they experience. So, we've been providing with a lot of teachers, a lot of parents, right? Already seeing them
Hmm.
already like comprehend what's going on, and the students
Hmm.
and are pretty much mirroring their experience. Kind of like, cool, we're creating something really of value here. Even though it's just a 1 hour experience, it's very quick, you know, that disengagement is so powerful. It creates so much more space for people, you know.
Yeah.
And the emphasis on play is so important, right? You're here to play, So just enjoy this moment that we're sharing together for 30 minutes, 1 hour. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's a beautiful share. I don't think I would crush it so well if someone had asked me, directly like that. For anyone listening, we didn't really rehearse, by the way. Like we had like a small warm up, but this isn't like scripted or anything. The nature of my podcast is we kind of do everything raw to keep the vulnerability and the authenticity. That said, though, Harry, would you mind walking me through what does a classroom look like? Like we play with clay for the whole hour, or like how would one session go, and how long is one session?
Yes. So in our programs, it's three pillars. So mindfulness, meditation, and arts education. So the first two so our workshops are led by two artists. We have a healer and we have a teaching artist. The
Oh
healer
wow.
is trained in wellness, trained in mindfulness, trained in a modality that helps us kind of like, um, you know, anything that we can use to help regulate our emotions, work with our mental health, stuff like that. And the second artist, the teaching artist, is someone who's trained in teaching arts, whether it's working with clay play or any kind of arts and craft experience. So in our typical program, the first half we do mindfulness and meditation. Depending on the teacher and depending on their training, it could be breath work, it can be journaling, it could be movement based. For me,
Okay.
since I'm heavily trained in our 30 minutes that people experience with me is we do gentle breathing, we do movement, Chai Chi Qigong, right? It's just really easy movements of the bodies to connect to the body. Sometimes we do yoga, and then we do a sound bath. So they experience all that with me, and it's very potent, very short, but it's enough to give people a picture of mental health, a picture of meditation, a picture of mindfulness. What's really cool is that when I lead those workshops, it's pretty much a seed, and I get to water it with the youths and the adults. And that's the whole point of that mindfulness portion. The teaching artists, depending on the artist, a lot of it, we do have a curriculum, right? So we have a little different themes. If there's holidays, like Thanksgiving, we'll do something that's Thanksgiving themed or Halloween themed. Yesterday we did Mickey Mouse themed, which is pretty cool. We were assuming they're going to make Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, but instead they just allow themselves to be unlocked and build any kind of Disney related character. So depending on the artist, some of them could be a lot more cultural. Last week, one of our Latin artists, pretty much their sculpture was centered around creating the sun and the moon, to really celebrate the cultural symbol it represents in Mexican culture. So what's really cool is our clay play, our arts and crafts. Yes, it can be very fun, very like free form sometimes. But
Hmm.
sometimes our artists can bring some really powerful cultural conversations, rather exploring deeper roots within their culture or cultural conversations. So
Man.
that's what our programs are now. They really have really expanded beyond just playing with clay for fun.
Yeah, and even in the realm of just playing with clay for fun, like I study like neuroscience and psychology, not in a not at a university setting. This is what I dabble with in my life's work. And I've learned through, so I have ADHD. I have like really intense ADHD from what my doctor said. So I understand the neurodivergent side. Playing with clay, giving a physical medium to interact with does so much. Like in short, I've learned it does so much for the brain and the nervous system to allow for synchronization to happen. And that synchronization for an ADHD brain like myself will provide calm more so, and like calm and focus. And what I find so interesting about it is I'm like visualizing the workshop and playing with the clay and the different themes that could be like the information that's coming to me. And I could, even just thinking about it, I have like a sense of calm. And I could imagine that in that setting, it would quiet down all the noise that happens up here, like the distraction. And that's powerful. A lot of times to achieve that state, doctors will lean on pharmaceutical medicine. I'm not going to have the debate about good, bad pharmaceutical medicine here, but that you wouldn't need something like that. You could just have it in a moment. Like, I think that's really powerful. And the self discovery, I also know a little bit on the neuroscience side. Like, we have something called the default mode network, and it runs a dialogue of who we believe ourselves to be. And I could have a whole episode just on that, but in short, that dialogue, you open the space for creation of the dialogue you want to run, because it runs automatically most of the time. And that's what I see possible. And the amount of stress relief I can only imagine, like from those programs. So you have, it sounds like a little bit of like education, so like cultural education, and definitely mind body physiology education, which I'm super biased here, full disclaimer, but I think that is amazing. And I think it's a huge missing piece to the standard uh, education system, at least when I went through in the United States. So I think that's really cool. Um, Another question I'd like to ask is, hold on, I wrote it here. What moment in your life made you realize that helping youth wasn't just something you wanted to do, but something you felt, I want to say, called to?
When I first became a yoga instructor, well, there's a lot of instances in my life that was called to be of service to the youths. But I think the one that was the most profound was when I first became a yoga instructor. that first year, one of the teachers that I learned how to teach with, did a program. She pretty much launched a program for the school that her children are at, and we're pretty much teaching to like, oh my goodness, 500 to 700 students, and these are like my first students teaching yoga. And,
Wow.
and like I have no training, holding space for the years. Like, I'm just like I'm like mid 20s. I don't have my grasp on my traumas.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just like, here, 700 people, go lead them.
Yeah, they pretty much I'm day carrying. But what's so epic is the surrender. To witness the surrender of the students, right? They're just like, like just like giving up what is in their mind and just being a part of the experience in their own way. And it's just so beautiful to be able to witness that and to celebrate that and however way they showed up. And to see them like, if people who don't know like yoga, there's a posture called Shavasana, corpse pose. It's the last posture that you do in yoga class where you're pretty much laying down, and ideally you close your eyes and you allow yourself to surrender for about a minute to 2 minutes. So it allows your body to just really relax and find stillness. To see 50 students do that, for 1 minute, finding, holding space for them to find their calm, is powerful. It moved me, and I knew that this is something I want to do, for as long as I can. That's my first year of teaching yoga, right? I taught to 700 kids. I haven't taught to kids for a while since then, until now. Until these last 2 years, somehow this person had an opening. Harry, we need a sound heater. Are you available? I was like, oh my goodness, yes. I would love to be of service to my community. Um, and
Wow.
it's just so beautiful that I get to be a part of that conversation. Like for me is I get the gift to the youths and to people like what made a difference in my life. And something that I was missing in my life, I get to provide that under access. So it's cool that I get to be that conversation, a mentor. And not only that, I'm no longer teaching it. I'm actually providing those opportunities for other people to give those services, you know, and to actually jumpstart the conversation for a lot of these locations. So, it's really cool to see where I'm at and how much the world has opened up in my participation in it. Um, you know, we are scaling in terms of our outreach to the communities. And, 2025, we've done so much good work, and now it's going to expand even further. And what's really cool is that I'm not alone, you know? And that's something I get to really celebrate and share with people in the work that we're doing right now.
Wow. There is something you said during your share. You said that when you saw all of those kids in that pose for you said it was like 1 minute,
Yeah.
and you said that that moved you. Are you open to sharing a little more about what like the experience was? That when you say it moved you, what did you experience?
The reason why I like to teach yoga is, providing access to peace and harmony. Uh,
Hmm.
Seeing the youths figure out the yoga, they're like, oh, what's going on? It's chaotic. It's wild. It's Wild West. And then when they come down to stillness, it's kind of like they choose to find their stillness, right? They make the after choice, and to witness that is so powerful at such a young age. We are the product of our environment, but the environment at that moment is harmony. And to witness them choosing that for themselves is kind of like it brings so much harmony and peace to me. You know, it's like I'm experiencing them experiencing it, and I cannot describe it. I can say like, wow, I just witnessed that, but something about being in that experience, it's just like it makes so much sense. Like it clicks. And for a moment in my life, right then and there, like the anxiety is gone. Me have to be somewhere is gone. It's like I am right where I need to be, and it's perfect, you know, and that's really profound, and it really, feels really good to actually recall that right now because I haven't thought of that experience in such a long time. But to be
Yeah.
teleporting to that is kind of like, wow, I am continuing to work still right here, right now, almost 10 years later after becoming a teacher. So, yeah.
It's you sound aligned. Like the so for those that don't know, what I teach people and guide people in is unlocking what I call their legendary form, which is this podcast. Legendary living is about living from the space of that legendary form. One of the key components that we spend, there's a whole segment on it, is alignment. And it sounds like, Harry, it sounds like you are in alignment with your true path. Like you know where, like you're, I call it the moral compass. It's if you follow your moral compass, you could be on your deathbed and you could not know the answers to everything in the universe, but you knew that you lived a life you'd be proud of if you followed your moral compass. And it sounds like you are following your moral compass and you are aligned, which is like awesome to see.
Hmm. Wow. Thank you for acknowledging that, and uh, mirroring that. I was like, wow, I am. This is my purpose. I'm following my purpose. And what's really cool about this purpose is that it pays really well, which is great. What was really cool is that my purpose, my life that I've come to connect to is that my life is for joy, connection, vulnerability, and love. And the work that we're doing is I'm doing all of that and more. So if this is what alignment looks like, great. I am very, very grateful and just really joyful to celebrate that, you know, uh, and to share that and let people know, like, this is what it looks like when you go for our
Yeah.
dreams, go for what matters to us.
Which is one of the messages I would drive if ever I could. Like when people ask, what is one thing that you want to be remembered for? My answer is always inspiration. And I had, I went through some stuff when I was a kid and I didn't have it the worst by far, but to to have the experience of joy and love and harmony and physically embody it. Because it's one thing, I watched a lot of YouTube videos growing up. It's one thing to get the concept of something, right? Not to say that like YouTube videos teach me, formal education or anything, but it's one thing to get the concept of something. And it's a very different thing to embody the experience. There's a whole world, for those that don't know, there's a whole world of book knowledge, classroom knowledge, and body knowledge. When your body learns something, it's a much more real and permanent experience. And we we're kind of at time for the episode. There's like so much more I want to ask you, but
Yeah.
this is kind of at time. Is there anything else you'd want to share before we wrap up?
Well, you we've unlocked a great conversation here. So we're gonna have a lot more conversations here on out, about what we're doing with nonprofit, the impact it's making, and also what's the conversation going on in Los Angeles,
Ooh, yeah.
and I also get to share kind of like more about like what am I doing on an individual level outside of organizational level, what am I doing within my community with mental health, emotional health, and all of that. I think it's just really an honor to be able to share what we're up to, and to let people know, like, yes, sometimes, what's going on in the real world can be upsetting for some of us. Just let people know that there's so much light happening all around us, And it's
Hmm.
really a privileged honor to let people know like we're doing some great work here, and people are connecting to their joy and their love, in our work, and we're not the only ones doing it. So just letting people know that we're in it together, and there are spaces out there that supports um, everyone's healing, growth, and really curiosity to expand themselves and to be, the next best version of themselves. So we're out
Man.
here. Come to us. We're here to hold space with you.
Oh, that is so powerful. So for the people that want to come back for seconds on this content, could you give us a preview? You said like what's going on in LA. Could you give us like a sneak preview?
So with our nonprofits, we are pretty much working against incarceration of the youths. And what that looks like is do a lot of policy making, but also a lot of programming. So we're hosting a lot of events. Um, we are fundraising to pay for programs to happen at different schools locations, and we're building community centers. Like one of the nonprofits called Street Poets, they just opened up their community center this year, you know,
Wow.
and this is happening all over LA. And we get to share more about what that looks like, right, in a different conversation. Um, but a lot of big things are happening just in this year alone. So it's just a lot of joy to be able to share that.
That is, oh man, that sounds so cool. That that is honestly amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, for our viewers that want to connect with you, where can they find you? Where can people, how would I contact you if I wanted to support your nonprofit or learn more about it or get in touch with you guys?
Totally. My main Instagram handle is Harry Bui. So from there, I share everything about my nonprofit. I share a lot of things about mental health. I share a lot about what we're up to, on my level, but also on the bigger level as well. I share a lot of community events on there because a lot of people collaborate with me. So I get to share a lot more about like what we're doing in the Los Angeles scene. Um, our nonprofit has its own Instagram handle as well. It's called ClayDD, CLAYDD Collective. You can follow them on Instagram there. And those are the two top Instagram handles that we have at the moment. And
Mhm.
and follow us, see what we're up to. We're about to launch like a content series centered around mental health and youth talk about mental health. So y'all get to see kind of like, oh wow, this is the discussion, and this is what people are saying, especially our youths. So we're very excited to
Wow.
launch that in the upcoming year.
Oh man, I'm excited to. I want to be witness to that when it comes out. Those those Instagram handles, if someone messages you on there, will is it reliable that you guys see the message and respond? Somebody wants to get in touch.
Yes, we will respond. I'm pretty responsive. Our team is very responsive. It's managed by a group of people as well. Um, and we're pretty active. We love doing collaborations. We love answering questions, because we're community focused. So and we're also like we're not that big of a nonprofit. A 25-year-old nonprofit. We'll have a different level of communication. We're very young,
Yeah.
so we have a lot more bandwidth to respond to a lot of
Mhm.
inquiries. And right now,
Nice.
because our team is a pretty good size, we're just scaling and just being of service whatever there's a need and a call for.
Wow. Well, that sounds really inviting, actually. The fast responsiveness, and I could totally get the concept of the growth too, growing with that. Sounds like you got a powerful team. So, Harry, I want to say thank you for taking me up on being a guest on this podcast, especially so short notice. And thank you for being vulnerable and coming in here and just sharing what you're about and being willing to hold that space in this episode. I would love to have more episodes with you in the future. And if when that happens, I will I will make it known for the viewers so they can get more of you. And Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being on my podcast and sharing the space with Legendary Living.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. It's truly an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.